Okay, what we're looking at now is looking at the increase in our share prices and comparing that to the increase in inflation. So you've bought your shares for some prices and they've gone up and then you've sold them. So they've risen about that much. But if inflation at the same time has gone up that much, then you actually have a shortfall of that. So what we want to do is we want to come up with some way of being able to see whether we've actually made a real gain with our shares. Okay, a real gain in our shares when we compare it to inflation. So to do that, we've got to look at the new take old type thing, which we looked at a bit before. If you remember doing that, we used the formula of new take old over old times by 100. Okay, so this is just a percentage increase. So what we want to do is we're going to have a look at the XAO is the All Ordinaries Index. So we want to compare. We want to see the percentage increase from the year 2000 to from 1999. So you grab the price in the year 2000. That's our new price. Take away our old price. Divide it by our old price. And times the whole lot of that by 100. Now, on your calculators, make sure you do that top line first, otherwise it'll be a bit odd. And when we do that, we get 7.48%. So what that means is, in general, the shares from the year 2000 or from the year 1999 to 2000 went up 7.48%. So you would hope that inflation didn't go up that high, otherwise you'd make a loss. So the performance of our shares has to be compared to the cost of living or inflation over that time. Now, otherwise you see if you actually have made a real profit, because if your buying power of your money has gone down, you need to make more of a profit to cover your costs. So if your price of shares have risen over time and inflation has also risen, the rise in the value of your shares must be higher than the rise in inflation to make a real profit. Now, in real life, you have to look at taxation. So taxation should be taken into account. Now, we've got a question that will show you how that works, but possibly you won't be examined or tested on that. I'm not sure, but it's fairly complicated because you've got to take in two steps. So let's just have a bit of a squiz at a question here. You bought some shares in 2000 for $3,450 and sold them in 2005 for $5,620. If the consumer price index for 2001 was 231, 2005 was 365, did you actually make any money on your shares? So what we want to do is we want to look at the two halves of this and compare them. So once again, new take old over old times by 100. So we're going to do a percentage increase comparison, I suppose. So our new price, well, let's grab the shares first. We had 5, 6, 20. When we do this and work this out, we get 62.90%. Now that's a huge increase. Please be just assured that I've made these numbers up, so that's probably why it's that high. Now if our shares have gone that high, we want to compare it with the inflation to see if they've also gone up. So we're using the same formula, new take old over old times by 100. So that'll be our new CPI value is 365, our old one is 231, and when we work that out we get 58.01%. So our shares have gone up 62% and inflation has gone up 58%. So that's pretty cool. So it means our shares have actually outstripped inflation, which is pretty cool. Which means that we've actually made a profit. Now our real profit, when you take into account is going to be 62.9 take 58.01, because that's the percentage increases. And when you do that, our real profit is 4.89%. So your shares in this question have outstripped the inflation by 4%. So let's have a look at a bit more of a complex question, because this has got a bit more in it. Doreen bought some ATL shares for $3,450 and sold them for $6,577. She bought them in 2003, sold them in 2006. The CPI in 2003 was 1,281, in 2006 was 2012. Taking into account taxation and inflation, calculate if Doreen has made a profit if her tax rate was 42%. Whole lot of information here, so let's go through it just step by step and see how it works out. First step is that we need to calculate the real gain in the shares. So the real gain in the shares comes from the 6,577 take away 3,420, so we actually make $3,127 in capital gains. This is our capital gains. Because now that you've made a capital gain, you've got to pay capital gains tax. So the first thing that applies is the discount rule, because she's held them for more than 12 months. So you get your 3,127 divided by 2, and her taxable gain, therefore, is 1,563.50 because of that discount rule. The tax rate is 42%, so her tax that she has to pay is $656.70. The net gain, which is taking into account that she has paid tax, is your 3,127, take away the tax that you've got to pay, so the total gain that she has made is $2,470.33. So we want to express that as a percentage. So what's the percentage increase when we've taken that away? So you can do the new take old over old, or the easier way is just to grab this net gain, divide it by your purchase price and times it by 100. It's like what a test result. You got 23 out of 60. What was that as a percentage? So you get 22,470 and 33 out of your purchase price times by 100. What percentage increase does that give us? When we do that, we get 71.6%. So her shares have gone up 71.6% when compared to inflation. Now, the step 2 is what we want to do is we want to increase, calculate the percentage increase in the consumer price index. Now, once again, we have got those values, and we just put it into the formula: new take old over old times by 100. You get kind of bored of this formula. So these are the values we've been given. We calculate it out, and you get 74.2%. So the inflation rate has gone up by 72.4. Starts here, goes up to 72.4. Whereas her shares start here and only go up by 71%. So you actually have made a loss. These are the shares, 71%. This is inflation, which is 74%. So you actually have made a loss there, which is a bit of a pain, because even though on paper you've made a 71% gain, when you take into account inflation, you've actually made a loss.